Hi everyone, welcome to Project Oneness World. Today we're in conversation with Professor Eileen Abels, Dean of the College of Organizational, Computational and Information Sciences at Simmons College and Director of the School of Library and Information Science. And prior to that, Eileen came into Simmons College as Dean of the School of Library and Information Science and saw the school through a big phase of transition where we moved from 5 schools to now 4 colleges within the largest Simmons University that starts in September. And Eileen has really led front and center and brought in, I would say, what is a compassionate leadership. Eileen has more than 35 years of expertise in library and information science, where she has won a number of awards and has held pretty significant leadership positions. She has a huge number of research articles in journals and conference proceedings, book chapters, and she's edited several books and co-authored 2 books. Personally, she has been a mentor to me and has been a great advisor. And I would think that if somebody is to be an epitome of a leader, Eileen signifies a model leader anywhere, I think. So thank you so much, Eileen, for doing this. So to begin, what led to your current career?
It actually was accidental, which I think happens to many people after getting a college degree, trying to figure out what would be a good step. At that time, I had studied different languages, and it was actually my mother who noted that librarians needed multiple languages. All the ads in the newspapers, like Library of Congress, I was living in Washington, D.C. area, wanted to hire librarians who spoke multiple languages. So it seemed like a pretty good fit. I had spent a junior year abroad in France. I was living in Mexico at the time. So I got into librarianship that way and found that certain aspects of it, in particular special librarianship, really resonated with me. So from that got me started, then moved through various types of positions, and then to academe, because I found that being an academe was a way to keep learning all the time. Even though we're teaching, we're learning at the same time. So I found that there was no boredom or repetition.
Right. And for people who are not in the library field, how do you describe special libraries?
So special libraries are libraries that you are not a general public library. They aren't a school library. They're a library that will focus on a discipline or have a special user group. There are different criteria. They don't have to meet them all, but a law library is a special library, a medical library is a special library, a business library is a special library. But in an academic world, a business academic library is a type of special library. It's just in an academic setting. So I worked in corporate special libraries early on, and I also worked in science and technology.
And I saw French on your CV.
That was my undergraduate major. I was a French major. And then found that in order to really move forward, you needed a second language, and that's when I learned Spanish as well. Yeah.
And do you think your language skills came in useful?
Personally, to me, they did, and they facilitated travel to some extent. And I was very interested initially in international librarianship, and I know that the government had various interesting opportunities at that time. But after a while, it became obvious that I wasn't going to be able to travel widely. Once you have a family, it kind of limits the ability to do that.
And do you think your knowledge of or wanting to learn different languages helped you to connect with people better?
That's a good question. I think it helped me understand different cultures better, and so being willing to communicate with people even when I didn't speak their language, I think helped to some extent. Yeah.
So what do you think have been some of the most significant steps in your career?
I think the move from being a librarian or an information specialist, because they called them all kinds of things in the day. So I had various positions working as a librarian or information specialist. Then the move to academe was a pretty significant step. I think at one point, after I had my MLS degree, I had thought about getting an MBA because I really liked the management focus of my position. And I was advised by my then mentor, Paul Wasserman from University of Maryland, that if I got an MBA, he was sure I would go off and have a successful career in business but not librarianship. So
Okay.
he's the one who suggested getting the PhD
Nice.
and in library information science.
And
which is what I
MLS
did.
is Master of
Library
and
Science.
Library Science,
Yes.
or sometimes it's MS in LIS, which is
MS and LIS.
Master of
yeah.
Science in Library and Information Science. So,
Right.
who are some of the people who have influenced your work?
My work, well, my life direction, I would say Paul Wasserman, who was my advisor at the University of Maryland. And I found out about Paul Wasserman when I was in Mexico learning Spanish, and there was a big sign at the National University about Paul Wasserman visiting. So he was international. His area of expertise was international. So he then made suggestions in my career. He introduced me to people who employed me in Mexico because I lived and worked in Mexico for 7 years. Then he was the one who suggested the PhD. So throughout, he had a huge influence, I would say, on the direction of my career.
What do you think, if you have to say one thing that you learned from him, what would that be?
I think maybe what I learned from him is to take opportunities as they present themselves.
Okay, yeah. And apart from Paul, right, were there other people who influenced you in life, apart, maybe not just your work direction?
Well, in both work and life, I would say Elaine Svenonius, a professor at UCLA, also had a good work-life balance, I think, and that was always important. For example, she taught our daughter the word flower when she was a baby. That was important.
Yeah.
And we've maintained a close friendship since. So I think Elaine, I tried to model myself after her as a teacher because I found her to be an exceptional teacher and giving to her students. And then just in general in life, always was a good person and did manage that balance, I think.